Hey, now, I want to talk about three mistakes I see with a lot of people that start their new autograph collections. And these are all real common. I did them all myself. And the number one mistake, the biggest mistake I see people make, obviously, is number one is trusting the cert and not the autograph. There's so many, I don't say so many, PSA, JSA, Beckett, they all make mistakes. And the problem is, once an autograph is certed, it's usually certed for life. I mean, the most common autograph that I could think of at the top of my head was the Say Hey controversy with Willie Mays. There are so many, even I guess the TPAs were all guilty of trusting the cert. They all trusted the Say Hey hologram. And one of the first videos I ever did was the controversy in the Willie Mays Say Hey holograms, in the sense that it turned out that these holograms were stolen for the most part. And even though there are a few that are good, most of them are not good. But again, there's a lot of other ones. You can even go on the PSA autograph facts database. A couple that stick out to me is like the Cap Anson. I know there's one of those that are not good. Larry McPhail, I did autograph. I showed one that was a stamp and not real. And there's a lot of great people in this community, myself included. My email address is frank@sportscards.cpa. I give opinions on almost anything for free. It's just my opinion. But my opinion, I sometimes feel, is no better or worse than any of the TPA's opinion. And again, it's all about looking at the autograph itself. And that's why I'm doing all these videos, is to teach you what to look for on the autograph. I could do just one video and say, guess what? If it has the TPA, it's good. If it has the JSA sticker, a real one, obviously not a man cave one, a real JSA sticker, it's good. If it has a real PSA sticker, it's good. No, look at the autograph. PSA gets it right. PSA gets it wrong. Especially today, these athletes barely know how to sign their name, and JSA sometimes won't even cert it, even though it's signed right in front of you. And frankly, I don't blame these TPAs. These autographs are getting really, really bad today. And so again, just look at the autograph. So that is number one. Number two is people make the mistake of rushing to buy an autograph. And what I mean there is you need to be patient if you don't want to overpay. And when I started out, for example, I remember I wanted a Hack Wilson autograph so badly. I spent way too much. I spent over $1,000. It was a signed sheet of Hack Wilson. It was a good autograph, but I just way overpaid for it because I was so needy and wanting this. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I would say take your time. I just did Bill McGowan, and if you go on eBay right now for Bill McGowan, his autograph's out there. There's not a nice autograph, I would say, right now available. And what's out there is very overpriced, but people want instant gratification that they'll go out and just boom, get the autograph, whatever they want. So you need to have some patience in this game. You're not going to get, especially these deceased Hall of Famers, they're not well, yeah, they are sort of disappearing into collections, but like a lot of the more common names, I would say there's 200 baseball Hall of Famers with the 351 that are all $1,000 or less, and they all come up for sale maybe once or twice a year. So have patience. So the third thing that I see is, and this is, I'm a victim of this also. And again, it's very tough. It's easier said than done. Is when you see something you really want, when if that item we just talked about, you waiting and waiting, you see what you want, go out and get it. Because there's a lot of, especially with the older, tougher names, you won't see those again. An example of that is a Hall of Famer named J.O. Wilkinson. He owned the Kansas City Monarchs, and I had a chance to get him. I couldn't afford. It was tough for me to afford at the time. I don't want to tell you how to spend your money. That's not my business. But he was, I remember, $6,500. But it was a beautiful autograph. I literally took out a business loan, a small business loan. It was a flat fee. It wasn't like an auction where I didn't know it was going to end at. Jim Stinson offered to me a flat $6,500, and I knew I would never see one of these again. And I haven't really. There's a couple that come out, a couple I'm not so sure of, others that are spot on, but are more expensive. So I have a beautiful J.L. Wilkinson autograph. Again, if you want all 351, again, impossible, but You need to get that's what you need is, you need J.L. Wilkinson, and he just doesn't come up very often. He's forgotten to time. And I took out a small business loan of 6,500. Well, not full 6,500, but again, it's just if I were to sell them, I guess is it's going to sell for 10,000. But there's even more ones like my Ned Hallen and my Frank Chance have exponentially grown in value. And again, I just saw the one I wanted, especially when fixed price. I negotiated with the seller and I went out and I got it. And I'm really happy I did. So if you see that one item, don't pass it up. And the same I would say is in person. I always go back to this story is Mickey Mantle, 1994 National. He was there. He wanted $80, which is again steal. But then it was very expensive for an in-person autograph. And Mantle had done a lot of shows. And so I passed it him. I said, I'm not paying $80. And he was dead a year later. That was the last show he ever did was the 94 National in Houston, his hometown. And I regret it to this day. So whenever I see an autograph that I really, really want, assuming I can afford it, like, I mean, go back to the REA auction that just happened. There was an autograph I really wanted. I put a really strong bid in and I lost. I couldn't afford it. So if you see one you want, you really can afford, especially vintage of these deceased Hall of Famers, even in person, if they're doing a show, my recommendation is get the autograph. You'll thank yourself later. So appreciate you watching. As always, keep collecting.